your sales organization is going to be your biggest customer. You need to spend time. If I have any recommendations for you, you need to spend time with them. You need to give them the understanding of how marketplaces is going to benefit their sales cycle.
Welcome to Unlock Cloud Go-to-Market, the series where hosts Erin Feiger and Patrick Riley share the essential stages of the cloud GTM maturity model to start, optimize, and grow your company's revenue through the cloud. They've helped countless ISVs tackle the ins and outs of their cloud GTM motion. And in each episode, they're sharing those success stories from the people who have put them into place. Because ultimately, this way of thinking is the future, and the future is now.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Unlock Cloud Go-to-Market. I'm co-host Patrick Riley.
I'm your co-host, Erin Feiger.
And today you do not want to miss out on our conversation with Mike Mason, the Global Alliances Director for Varonis. He dives into operations, sales, channels. We talk about technology, and we talk about the most important thing of all that you can't get back. Stay tuned to find out what that is. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Unlock Cloud Go-to-Market. I'm co-host Patrick Riley.
And I'm your co-host, Erin Feiger.
And today we are very excited because we have Mike Mason from Varonis with us. He has been instrumental in driving their cloud go-to-market strategy, especially their transition from on-prem to SaaS, navigating all these complexities with the cloud marketplaces. We're thrilled to have him. So thank you so much for taking time, Mike. We really appreciate it.
Patrick, Erin, thank you for having me. Really enjoyed our partnership and excited to share what we've been up to in the last 24 months.
Let's talk a little bit about the importance of time when it comes to adopting new technologies. So you mentioned when we talked previously that time is the single biggest reason that we adopt new technologies. Can you share more kind of about your philosophy here and how this urgency really influenced Varonis' decision to go with Tackle when you're looking at your marketplace adoption?
There's one thing that you can't get more of in this world, and that's time, right? We all have 24 hours in the day, and we all get to choose on how we want to spend those 24 hours. And when we looked at our motion with the hyperscalers, right, we noticed that we were spending a lot of time inputting co-sell opportunities into Microsoft, AWS, trying to map Salesforce account AEs in our deal cycles. Because when we look at this, these are the largest cloud providers in the world. And when you get to engage with the AEs and bring value to the conversation, it opens up a lot of doors, allows you to expand your opportunities, allows you to expand your reach in these accounts. And instead of scaling with people, we looked in the market to get a solution where we could scale with technology, where we could just simply click a button and everything from our Salesforce environment was getting inputted into the hyperscalers with one click of a button, because we have a predictable sales motion where we do a data risk assessment with all of our clients. And when we do that, that is a perfect opportunity for us to engage with the hyperscalers. In the early days, 24 months ago, we were putting in about 50 to 70 a week. So just imagine if we spent 5 to 10 minutes per entry, right? That's one person all day, every day, putting these things in. So we just needed a solution to help us save that time so we could get focused on our co-sell motions and mapping with the AEs of each of those accounts and bringing value to the conversation.
There's a lot of misnomer when people get started and thinking about the amount of time that they need to dedicate to this process. And although you all are a good use case who's using a ton of opportunities that are flowing through this process, some people are starting out with one or two, but aren't thinking ahead enough to understand that if we don't start to figure out how to do this smarter and how to automate this process, very quickly, our sellers are going to latch on. We're going to start to get more volume. And this is going to become like a headache for me. You know, I had that problem at Dell. I quickly became the multi-hat person. It's not something that one individual can necessarily handle on their own, unless you can start to think about what technology levers do we have at our disposal.
And I also feel like there's two camps, Mike. Like, I don't know, you tell me which camp you're in, but I feel like there's two camps. There's like the camp of we're going to get ahead of this, implement this before the pain comes, before the volume, or we're going to wait until the pain and then we're going to implement technology to help us get back our time. It's like, I don't mind spending the time, and they're going to just spend the time, or they're like, nope, we're going to put this in out of the gate. We're not going to wait for pain. We're not going to wait until we have to get back our time.
Yeah, I'm in the first camp. I'm in the camp of let's do this now, right?
Do it now, get ahead of it.
Yeah, get ahead of it, right? Because it's okay to put the ones and twos in to understand the workflow, right? But if you think about this motion and you're going to scale it and you want to work with these hyperscalers and bring value to them, you need a simplified process, right? And like, think about it. When I was talking to you guys earlier, like, what's the single purpose on why we put an app on our phone? It's really to save time to do other things, because I needed my team to be focused on the relationship and bringing value to the conversation. So the thing is, when we look at technology, right, and especially the co-sell technology, I love the fact that you guys are always keeping up to date with the hyperscalers, right? When they're making changes, when they're improving their processes, I don't have to go back and improve my processes. It's like, okay, we're still going to run the same process, the same play inside of Tackle. That's not going to change. Maybe we're mapping a different field, but that's okay because you guys have already taken care of it. So you guys, Tackle owns the process. We own the input, which has been very helpful with us to scale it out. Because when we're looking at this with the Varonis, when we're putting in 50, 60 a week, we're doing this with 2 people. And our team is highly efficient in engaging with the Microsoft, AWS, and Salesforce reps, right? And we have a lot of conversations on a weekly basis with just 2 people.
Yeah, I always tell partners, I'm like, yeah, it's no big deal to put in like 10 deals a week. Sure, you could do that, but that compounds. So now you've got like 40 to 50 deals per month times 12. And now you have to keep all of those deals up to date, in sync. You've got to be able to have like forecast calls and talk to different sales teams about the collective pipeline. You have to be able to know when those deals close win and close lost. And now you've got more than 10 deals that you're dealing with. It's going to be, a challenge. Something else you said, which I think is really key, is that Tackle, we have in our like initiatives to be co-launching with each cloud on their major features and programs and functionalities. And so as a co-launch partner, like, we're committed to doing that. Now, you go back to your like Salesforce team and be like, hey, Salesforce team, can you commit to being a co-launch on these major things? They're going to be like, no.
Yeah, the answer is absolutely not, right? It breaks the system. And that's one less thing that we need to worry about, because all these hyperscalers have all these different programs, right, that you can take advantage of, in whether it's in Microsoft, whether it's in AWS, whether it's in Salesforce. And that's one program that I don't have to think about, right? Because I know that you guys own it, right? You guys own when they make updates to ACE or Partner Center, like, you guys own that. That's not on me, that's on you guys. And it's been very fruitful for us, right? But going back to your earlier point about putting the 10 in, you can do 10 and put them in. It's not about putting them in. It's about how you're going to engage with them. Because now if I put 10 in, you can't just go put 10 in and then the hyperscalers map them for you and never reach out to that AE or the partner sales manager, because then you might as well just not put it in. So the question that you need to really ask yourself is, when I put 10 in, can I dedicate time in getting these accounts engaged with our AEs and sell the value of who Varonis is, what is it exactly that we do, and how can we work together? What's in it for you, AWS or Microsoft rep? So it compounds very, very quickly.
Totally. And I'm always like, when I talk to partners, I'm like, are you trying to just push data around, or are you actually trying to do something meaningful with your cloud partnership and making this a meaningful route to market? Because if you want to make it meaningful, then what you said, which is, why are you sharing this? Who's going to follow up? Like, it's all the things you do after you've shared the deal that is really going to get you that traction you're looking for in your cloud go-to-market strategy.
It's absolutely, Erin. And when we talk about this with our team, it's mind share, Because think about all the other apps or other partners that are out there that are trying to get the mind share of that AE or the SE or whoever it may be. If you come to that conversation with highly effective information of what's in it for them and who are we working with and the business challenge that we're solving, it's a very fruitful conversation. And then you get mind share. And then it's a snowball effect because they trust you. They trust that you're coming in here not to ask for a handout to get introduced to an account. They want to work with you because you have value in the relationship and can help them succeed at that client.
Yeah. And one of the things you had to do at Varonis as a company had to do in order to really get the right mind share from your different cloud partners was you guys had to take a look at your product strategy. So can you take us back like 4 years ago when Varonis was starting to evaluate going to market with the clouds and building the strategy? There were some drivers in moving your product from on-prem to cloud and how that has helped, with garnering more mind share or the right kind of mind share.
We had to move our company to SaaS. We're an on-prem application, but we did this to provide for our customers, provide security outcomes faster. We wanted to ensure that and reduce the friction for our customers in getting Varonis installed in their environment, as well as we wanted to provide more automation for our customers. So if you sum this up, we wanted to deploy quickly with insights, alerts, and exposures that was available immediately with very minimal effort, right? So that was the whole purpose of us moving to SaaS. And when that happened, it allowed us to open up our relationships with the hyperscalers because now we were using their technology to foster our application, which then in return allowed us to build the product relationship with the hyperscalers. And when you built that product relationship and they know that you're using and driving consumption on their infrastructure, everything changes because you're mutually aligned.
Time was a motivator for you guys. You needed to make your deployments faster, quicker, easier. You wanted to get your customers their insights and notifications in a timely manner. Like time is your motivator, like a big catalyst for change inside of Varonis.
It's an absolute change, and it's been a game changer. And you can see from our earnings report that the customers continue to adopt it at an accelerated rate. And it's been very favorable for us and the outcomes that we're providing for our customers.
So, Mike, you start to make these changes as a company. Fundamentally, you're shifting from on-prem to SaaS. You're adopting the marketplace. You're getting some customer demand to push you in this direction as well. So all things are headed towards this new cloud go-to-market route to market. Varonis, however, has been kind of historically channel first. And as we all know, the marketplaces are still working themselves up to be the most friendly channel adopting companies. And in the beginning, it kind of wasn't that way. So how did you all think about and manage that integration and that checkpoint of, hey, we've got to get our channel partners here and we don't want to shift entirely to going direct through marketplaces. Our customers can't do it that way. Like, what did that look like for you all?
We looked at this holistically and we looked at it with eyes wide open. Our channel has helped build our business to what it is today. You couldn't just go and cut them out. And they actually bring some value to the conversation and to the deal. And so we had to look at this holistically. And what we realized is that our channel partners were already having a marketplace motion. And actually, this allowed us to align deeper with our channel partners because they were already doing it, right? They already have a list of who can do it in the marketplace because we all understand that marketplace has fundamental value to us because you can get budget, you can get the cloud commit budget towards your product. And when you start looking at this, the partners knew about that too. And it's actually grew our partnership relationship. Instead of looking at a negative of like saying, hey, we're going to go and bypass our partners, bring them into the conversation because they're already doing it. They already have a marketplace play. So let's not hide from it. And then the last report that I read is they expect 50% of all marketplace transactions to have a partner included in it. And the partners are so important. That is why Microsoft rolled out MPO and they can't roll it out fast enough throughout the United Kingdom, and they're rolling it out even further to the rest of the world. Along, obviously, AWS is well ahead of the game in their CPPO offer. But at the end of the day, the partners already have this motion, guys. So you might as well have that conversation head on with your partner.
I saw Jay publish that, and they were saying 50% of sales through just AWS, Microsoft, and Google will be 50% by 2027. And what are we at right now? $45 billion transacting next year. So that's a huge chunk of change that's going to go through the channel.
First, you have to activate customers just doing direct business in the marketplace. But if you really want to go after that lion's share of B2B software sales, you have to activate the channel. But
Absolutely.
You can't do it first. Like, you first got to get, like, everything in stages, right? It's like you first got to get people buying it and liking it and moving their budget. Budget has been moved. They're buying. Now is the time for the channel and for these cloud providers to really activate. If you want that revenue that's out there to go through the marketplace, you have to activate your channel and all different types of channel partners. Mike, in your channel strategy, I'm sure you have different types of channel partners. You said that it's really helping you align and have deeper partnerships. Which types of partners have you guys really started with? And how has it changed besides deeper? Like, are you doing more managed service or tighter solutions? Like, is it also changing the way, not just how you're selling, but how you're really going to market with a joint solution?
It is and it isn't, Erin, on that. So like, if you think about that, about the joint solution, and has it changed? We started with our biggest partners. And some of our partners they've actually developed programs that help customers manage their cloud hyperscaler infrastructure and spend. And so what we realize is that they sell a bunch of solutions, the partners sell a bunch of solutions, but we can be included in that bundle now. If they know about us and we know that they play and they're managing the spend, Varonis, being a data security platform, can be included in the data security play. It takes the load off the partners on collecting the invoices and everything like that in the distribution of payment, which actually then they can focus on adding value to the customer. So that's why we looked at this, and it's been very fruitful for us throughout the last 24 months.
Have you had to change your enablement? Like, are you enabling your channel partners differently? Like, how has that impacted enabling your channel partners or educating them?
We added it to the enablement because we have to do enablement on our SaaS solution. So we're already doing the enablement on the new SaaS features and functionality and the value that you get out of that. And then in addition to that, we had to throw in some enablement around marketplace play, right? As you're looking for end of year spend around the cloud providers, here's an easy way to kind of match the budget, to get further budget and things like that. So Erin, we added a segment of marketplace conversations in our plays when we go and educate our partners.
Okay. So Mike, you went big, got your big channel partners and activated them. You incorporated a marketplace track into your channel enablement materials and how you are activating your channel partners. So now let's move over to your sellers. So what does sales enablement look like inside of Varonis? How have you approached enabling the sales organization?
What I learned in the last 24 months with Alliance is that your sales organization is going to be your biggest customer. You need to spend time. If I have any recommendations for you, you need to spend time with them. You need to give them the understanding of how marketplaces is going to benefit their sales cycle. And so we had to start there, Erin, like before we even went to the partners, because if our partners knew about our marketplace strategy and our sellers don't, it's kind of a disconnect, right? And we had to sit down with our sellers and explain, okay, this is how it all works down to the nth degree. In addition, we had to explain the benefits of working with the hyperscalers. Why would they want to engage with the hyperscalers, right? Well, no, we already have a partner at that account. Why is the benefit of engaging with the hyperscalers?
What was one of the benefits that really resonated with your sellers? Because we know some of them, but I'm curious to hear like what your sellers were like, oh, that's like the one for me.
The two big benefits that we've seen that was the aha moment for some of our sellers is one, they get to expand the relationships, because sometimes the hyperscalers, if they have cloud commits, they're very high up in the organization. So we could leverage that and expand our relationships. And then the second thing was finding that budget. This has made it super simple when we looked at costs of when you're looking at our solution and we wanted to go get budget. If they already had a cloud spend, it was very easy to have that conversation and find the budget instead of going and saying, oh, I don't know if I can buy this. I got to go budget it. I got to go find out where it's coming from. I got to go there. Oh, no, it's already in the cloud. We already have a budget allocated for cloud marketplaces. We can just use it there. And once that clicked, they made the transaction. Our first adopters in our sales organization they did the first couple ones. And some of them are like, Mike, I don't want to go back doing general. I just want them to click the button and hit accept. Like, it was so simple that it was like, when you preach it, they're like, yeah, right. But when they actually do it, they're like, oh my God, this is so simple. And they were booking the deals within 5 minutes of being accepted. So it was fantastic.
Did you start with a set of sellers? Did you start with a sales region? Like, we always recommend to start small and get your early adopters and then scale out to like the next, group of sellers and then to the entire organization. What was your strategy?
It's the exact strategy that we took out of your playbook, right? We weren't trying to boil the ocean here because we needed to get a couple people on board. And we started in our pockets where we had the strongest sellers with the most penetration of customers that had cloud spend, right? When we looked and used Tackle Prospect to look at different regions on how and what were their propensity to purchase on via marketplace, we used the data to our advantage, and we started small. Started with the larger accounts because those are usually the ones that have cloud spend under them, and worked on some very strategic ones first. And just having those conversations, we didn't go and just release it to everybody. We did it in segments per region. We started in the Northeast, we went to the Southeast, and now we're moving west. And to this day, every region has done a marketplace transaction, which has been fantastic.
You started with your large accounts in a certain region, and then you used Tackle Prospect to understand where you had the highest propensity to spend in which marketplace. That then told you, okay, these customers now, so many are aligned to these reps. I'm going to go have targeted conversations, really spend time enabling these sellers on these accounts to have a good, positive first experience, to get those first wins under their belt, and then go after the next sales region and the next sales region. I love that. Like, one of our best practices as well is like, you've got to sell to before you can sell with and sell through. And in the sell to motion, it's like, you've got to go enable and sell to your sellers this partnership. You got to go sell it to your channel partners, and then you've got to go sell it to the cloud. And then you can actually go sell with and sell through.
Yeah.
When so many people skip the sell to, or they like do it like partially or like one piece of that, it's like, you got to really identify all the sell tos that you have to do and spend the time, really enabling them.
You got to start with your tribe. Like, that's the first thing that you need to do, right? You start with your tribe and get them educated on what you're doing, understand the vision for your alliance, and then it's go, right? But you always need to start with your tribe, because if you're doing this in a vacuum, it'll be longer to success, right? It might be a long road to failure if you're trying to do this in a vacuum. And from the previous podcasts that you've had, this is not alliance to just expand into many different facets of the business, and you need to make sure that everyone's aligned. So start with your tribe.
You mentioned you're sharing about 40 to 50 ops a week. And you said that all of your regions have now had a marketplace transaction go through. That seems to me like a lot, but how does that translate to the amount of actual sellers driving marketplace transactions? Is this kind of still in its infancy? Is there wider adoption? What's that look like?
It's still in its infancy, right? So if I look at every region that has done this, I still have more than half of my sellers need to do a marketplace transaction. I would say more than 75% of my sellers still need to do a marketplace transactions. But the ones that have done it have now done it multiple times and are really enjoying the collaboration that we're able to have with the hyperscalers, and the ease of use, the ease of the flow of how it all works has been astronomical and game changing, right? Because now the sellers that have done it, they're asking early and often in the sales cycle, hey, is this something that you would want to procure through the marketplace? Is this something that you want to put your cloud spend on? And that's changed the dynamic of the conversations.
Yeah. So I imagine they're pretty excited about it, and it's starting to head into the rest of the teams. They're starting to see some of those successes. Maybe you're sharing some of that information and those wins internally, but what other steps are you all taking? What's Varonis doing over the next 6-9 months to help drive more adoption and get the rest of those sellers to lean in?
Yeah, obviously we have to celebrate our wins across the way, Patrick, right? So it's very important that not only that region knows about your win, but the whole company at large knows about the win. The second thing that we're doing is we're using data. Your tackle prospect continues to improve to understand what customers have a propensity to purchase on the marketplace. Once again, we're not trying to boil the ocean. We're actually using the data to make informed decisions on who to ask and what to do, right?
Save time.
Save time. And then also we're leveraging a lot of the different programs that are available, right? Because there's different rebates that the customers can get, whether it be from Microsoft or AWS, that help influence the deal, because they can use some of those rebates towards their AWS or Microsoft infrastructure to reduce some of their costs there, which ultimately then reduces the cost of our solution as well.
That reminds me of our episode we did with TJ over at Rapid7, and you really utilizing all of the great programs and incentives that the cloud partners have, and that there's lots of ways to look at revenue from the clouds, not just revenue of a deal, but revenue that you're getting from these investments, incentives, rebates, like the programs that they have out there. He looks at it as like another form of revenue.
You can absolutely go and get this money. This is money that, it takes a little process. There's a little process to it, but it's absolutely out there, and you can actually accelerate deals by leveraging these programs, whether it's MPOP, whether it's Marketplace Rewards for Microsoft. There's many different programs out there. You just got to understand them and know how to benefit from them.
You've got a ton of experience going through this process. We've talked already about sales enablement, incentivization. We talked a little bit about the channel and your overall strategy and how you all got here. Along that journey, and probably still today, there is a operational transformation happening within the company. And moving to this model and shifting from on-prem to SaaS and leveraging your channel within Marketplace brings about a number of new challenges from an operational aspect. Can you talk to us a little bit about maybe some of the biggest challenges that you faced and how you addressed them as you moved into this space and continue to scale?
Yeah, how are you operationalizing this cloud strategy?
I think our biggest challenge was getting everybody on board, getting everyone aligned to what alliances actually mean and what alliances are actually going to do, right? Because the alliance group is brand new, newly formed in the last 24 months in Varonis. So that was our biggest challenge. And we had to start with the C-suite, right? If we didn't have them on board, because as Erin, we talked about earlier, Marketplace touches every aspect from money coming in, how fast are we getting paid? Are we giving away our whole pipeline by putting these into ACE or Partner Center? So there's concerns that you need to address, and you need to address those head on, right? And really give your C-suite a plan of how it looks and what the vision is for the next 3, 5, 10-year vision. And then once you get them on board, you have to go to each leader of the organization, from sales to customer success to even finance, right? What we call deal desk, and getting them aligned on how this is all going to work and what were the benefits. Because when you're having those conversations, the benefits are a little bit different based on who you're talking to, right? And you need to really understand what their goals are, and you need to talk in their language on how this is going to help you meet your goals.
We hear that time and time again now, is like really understand the benefits for each team or department in your organization. I remember having a conversation with our head of legal, and she was like, we want you to do deals through the marketplace, because every time you do deals through the marketplace, my team doesn't have to spend time contract negotiations, writing up all the paperwork, and all of that time they save. I think she said something like, it saves us like $10,000 a deal, because we're not spending our people time on those activities, because we now have this more streamlined way of doing it in the marketplace. So it's like, okay, you would like to save time. We went to accounting and they're like, we want to book our deals faster at the end of the month and quarter. It's like, great. With bookable artifacts from Tackle, you can do that in a more timely fashion, right? And so one of our customers was like, done. Like, we love that.
You got to look at the whole process, and you got to see where it's going to align in, like sales, right? They have a number to hit, right? How are we going to help align and hit that number? Customer success, they have a renewal rate that they need to hit. How can marketplace alliances play in that renewal rate, right? Finance, they need to collect funds in a timely fashion. How are we going to help them save time? And is it more predictable? And the answer is yes. It's been a lot of different conversations with the different stakeholders in the business. And once we got all the stakeholders aligned, it's been very easy to now run our play and get marketplace as a motion that is consistent across the board.
So you went and you had all these conversations and trying to like get everybody aligned and on board. But I remember you saying, like, it always takes that compelling event, right? So you guys had your aha moment around, yes, marketplace. Tell us about that aha moment where you had to get your listing live within 30 days, because guess what? There was a 7-figure deal from a customer saying, we want to buy through the marketplace.
Yeah, and it was actually the first one. We didn't even have the listing live. We had this was on the Azure marketplace, right? And Erin, it was end of year. We were working with this customer for over a year. We were working with this a potential customer, right? And we used Tackle to understand if it had a propensity to buy. And I said to the rep, I said, just ask them if marketplace is an option here, because they were going through the whole, how am I going to afford this? What budget is this going to come out of? And I just said, ask, just simply ask. If we could transact in the marketplace, would this something that you would consider? And the answer was yes. And we didn't even have our listing live. We didn't even know, I didn't even know what to do. I was still reading the paperwork on how to get a listing live, right? And the guy's like, yeah. And it changed the dynamic of the conversation for our seller. It's like, holy cow, Mike, they're not resisting me anymore. They're like, it went from, how am I going to pay for this, to how fast can we get this done? Listing is not the easiest. So we entrenched you guys, Erin and Pat, over at Tackle to help us get our Azure marketplace listing up. We were able to get that live within 30 days, and we were able to get the transaction completed on time before the end of the year, help him reduce his max spend, and everyone win. And our first transaction was a 7-figure deal through the marketplace. And that was the aha moment. It's like, holy cow, this cloud spend stuff is for real. And the marketplace transaction is seamless. This was like, hit the button, subscribe, go. We were all sitting there looking like, is this all we have to do? How do we know that this is all going to work? And sure enough, because they were an enterprise customer at Microsoft, we were paid 15 days later. And it was a thing of beauty, and it just showed up in our bank account. They're like, you just closed a deal. Like, how's this already here? So it's been a whirlwind, but this was actually true. Like, this is how it works, right? And it was actual, everything I told you is accurate, and here it is.
Yeah. You got to do it. You got to do it. You've got to experience it for yourself to really have it resonate and land. You got to do it.
You've given us a good insight into kind of how you've evolved and how Varonis is looking at things. You started needing a listing for this lovely deal. You had to integrate the channel. We had to go through the operational challenges. We had to enable our sellers. We had to do the same with our channel partners. And so you've made this evolution, and you're at the point now where there's obviously a lot more to go and a lot more to get from a value perspective out of the marketplace. But from your perspective, what's next on the roadmap for Varonis in terms of marketplace strategy? What are you all looking to do to further integrate the three of those, marketplace, channel, and your sellers together?
Yeah, Patrick. So we've had some great success, right? But we're just at the tip of the iceberg. We're just getting started. Yes, it was a 24-month journey here, but it's okay because we learned a lot. Now we really, in our first half, I would say first half here, we focus on really driving co-sell transaction or activity, right? And it was really top of the funnel activity. Now you start to look back and the success that we're having, we're going to start looking at how do we go deeper in each one of these hyperscalers, right? And really start building out a team that we can go deep and create and get mind share of the value that we provide for our customers and hence the hyperscalers customers as well too.
You've established the foundation, you've done the build, you've built out the processes, and you've put in the technology, you've gotten those stakeholders bought in, and you've penetrated some of the sales teams. And now you're really into that like grow and scale phase of like the maturity model and how we've kind of been framing it up. You mentioned expanding the team globally. Tell us a little bit about your plans to kind of grow and scale across the globe, your overall go-to-market strategy.
Yeah, I mean, to expand it, it's really because each one of these hyperscalers we got to invert it because we were just looking at doing the co-sell motion and we weren't really focused on per hyperscaler because each hyperscaler has unique benefits that you can take advantage of, right? And you need to speak their language as well, right? We're looking at how do you go deeper into these accounts. So we're going to do that across the globe because we've had, believe it or not, we've had transactions in marketplace across the globe. So we need to get hyper focused on how do we provide value to the hyperscalers, as well as when we get deals done, how do we get up to the mid-level, top tier leadership in those regions?
So you're going to get hyper focused per hyperscaler. Your folks in the field are going to be dedicated per cloud, or do you think they'll be first in the field supporting all clouds until you can get enough business and then you'll separate it out to two different people in the field, one per cloud?
We've already had two people in the field or people in the field doing it for all the hyperscalers. And there's so much activity that's going on. They can't really focus. So we're going to get hyper focused. And so we will have dedicated people for AWS, dedicated people for Salesforce, dedicated people for Microsoft.
It's unique enough, right? Going to market with the clouds are unique enough that it requires its own people, processes, technology to really support it because they have their own language. They have their own tools and programs that you need to interact with. And you really need to learn that inside and out. You can scale by like doing a lot of things, but for you guys, the next evolution for you is we're going to scale by going deep within each of those relationships, and that depth is going to get us scale within the partnership, which will then get us that scale we're looking for across our customers and regions.
Yeah, 100%. So that's the way that we're going to go, and we're going to use the success that we're already having to accelerate that. Because Erin, as you know, I mean, you came from Microsoft. There's so many different programs, so many different languages. Like,
I built a whole business around just Microsoft and understanding their programs.
Yeah, and it's not the easiest. I mean, if you like to look through a 107-page PowerPoint of all the different programs and how it all works, but you just can't do that at scale. We're going to hire experts per cloud and really lean in here and take advantage.
That's awesome. Well, Mike, it's been fantastic hearing about your journey and Varonis's journey and the lessons you've learned along the way. Before we wrap up, what advice would you give to other companies, or say I'm new to trying to start my cloud partnership inside my company around the going to market with the clouds and unlocking that potential?
Yeah, the unlocking the potential is you need to start with a vision. You can't just go at this and kind of do whack-a-mole here. You got to start with, what are you trying to accomplish? Are you trying to move the business forward? Are you trying to build your relationship? Like, what exactly are you trying to accomplish? And when you get started with that vision of what you want to accomplish, you will build around it, right? And then also, this is not done overnight. It's going to take time, and you got to do it, every single day. Just put the work in and you will succeed. And then the second thing that I would say is leverage technology. There is so much technology out here around these hyperscalers and different things that you can do. Erin and Pat, I mean, our partnership has been great. We leverage your technology to probably the utmost, continue to push the boundaries on it. It saves us a ton of time, which means that we can get more focused on our priorities, right? We're not doing the mundane task of what we said earlier, entering deals. We're leveraging technology to scale our team that will be more efficient. So start with a vision. B, leverage technology to scale.
Thank you for that.
Sincerely, thank you for your time. I know we took your time today, and we've talked prior to this just to set up some of the topics we wanted to go through today with you. So you spent a lot of time with us and with our technical team in general, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the support.
Okay, Patrick, that was such a great conversation. I could have gone longer. There were so many things.
Mike's the guy you can sit down with for hours and just go through any one of those topics.
Yeah. And like I just found our best practices are built and curated from all of the Mike Masons out there in the world doing this role, and hearing his story. There were so many of our best practices threaded throughout. What were some of the best practices that you heard in his story?
For me, I just love that he talked about you need to make sure that from a co-sell perspective, you've got dedicated resources focusing on it and time, right? Time was a big theme in there. But like the main question he asked that I thought was great is, can I follow up on these? So when people are asking us, what's the right amount of co-sell opportunities we should share? Like one of the questions that we should be asking right away is, can you follow up on each of those? And do you have people that are going to commit time to it? That to me was an interesting start that I really liked.
It reminds me of like all those workshops I've done with, we've done with customers. And it's like, okay, the first workflow we're going to go create is your deals to share. So how do we identify in your pipeline the deals that you want to share? And you go and you start to create that view and you see all the deals. Now, how do we break this down into meaningful chunks so that we actually can action them and have meaningful conversations around them? So, does that look like sharing 20 deals a week, 30 deals a week? If you've got dedicated people throughout the globe, maybe you can share 60 deals a week because really it's 10 deals per person. Just telling somebody like, oh, you should share like 25 deals a week. Well, that's not really good advice because I don't know who you have in place to follow up with to know, is that a small number, a large number? Can you really follow up in a meaningful way? And last week when we did the cloud operations call, we focused on sharing, doing the first workflow, which is sharing those opportunities. And Mike mentioned it in our conversation, which is, what are your goals? And then whatever those goals are, then that's how you should start to approach your cloud strategy and identifying the opportunities, why you're sharing them, then who is the right person in the organization to follow up and have that right meaningful conversation around those opportunities. If cloud providers are listening to our podcast, the last couple of podcasts that we've done, and Mike mentioned it here again, there is an underlining theme that if you really want to get that B2B software sales to go through the marketplace that's out in all these like analyst reports, you not only have to activate the channel, but you have to give the channel the ability to bundle. If you can't bundle and the channel partner still has to go do onesie twosies, yes, you've activated the channel in the ability to do a CPPO and an MPO, but you're not really going to get the channel if you don't give them the ability to bundle.
Be flexible, allow them to sell how they want to sell today. He was like, we're already training the channel partners today. And, something I just forget when I'm talking to customers on enabling their channel. He's right. You are already enabling them on your product. So why don't you just add in the marketplace conversations, teach them how to go do that. So for me, that was another interesting tidbit.
It reminded me of our conversation we had with Connie, which is like two themes that he's doing that Connie mentioned as well, which is like know everybody's roles and processes and really understand them. You've got to go sell to. And in order to sell to them, you really have to understand their world, their processes, what they're doing, how they function, so that you can figure out what's in it for them and the benefit. And also the second motivation of like, how do we operationalize this and, all co-sell together through the marketplace. The other thing that Connie and Mike both said was, I'm not teaching you to do something different. It's just an addition to, an evolution of. You're integrating it into what you're already doing, and you're just continuing to evolve, not, okay, we have to go change or we have to go do this additional thing, but the mindset of positioning it around like, we're just evolving the way we're doing business. And here's the next evolution. And now I'm just going to integrate it into how we're already enabling our channel partners. And, you're off to the races.
And I think it's been fun. All these conversations have netted out one main thing for me. And Mike said this as his number one activity that you should go do. And it's spend time with sales. And we know this. Our sellers are working with alliances, but they're also working with the CROs. And we're trying to help bridge that gap for the alliances personas. But anybody listening, if you're a sales leader, your revenue leaders, if they're not bought into this conversation and they're not a partner with you, like it's going to take you a long time to get going. And you're not going to see the same value you'll see if you all are all on the same page. So like spend time with sales, fantastic advice, a reoccurring theme. And now we just need to help like line up, like, what does that mean? Like, how do we make that an easy button? And I think that's something that, Tackle's been working on, and more to come on that. But for me, that was a big push that we also need to emphasize.
For me, it was the conversation around time. I can remember when we went through our rebranding exercise at Core, we hired a firm, we went through a brand story, and in the brand story, you have to identify the villain. Who's the villain? And then how are you showing up to like help and conquer the villain? And the villain is time. Time is always the villain. And, Mike said it. It's the one thing you can't get more of. We all have the same amount of time. So how is that villain showing up? And it's going to show up differently depending on where you are in the stage of your own company, where you are in the stage and phase of your role in that company. And we all only have so much time to go to market, to get that mind share, to get that revenue, to prove that we're the right person for the role, that this is the right strategy. Like time is always showing up. And I love that one of his philosophies around time was like, I know I have to do all of these things. So you kind of lay out all the things you need to do. And then you go decide, where am I going to spend my time? And then where am I going to go hire partners like Tackle to help take some of these things off my plate that I know I have to spend time on, but the time that needs to get spent is going to be more efficient, faster, higher accuracy. They'll be able to stay on top of all the changes. Things won't break because we're not staying on top of these changes. So time has to be spent, and the best use of that time and the best way to spend that time, the most efficient, is hiring partners who really know how to do key pieces inside of where you need to spend your time. I love how he was like, we just need the easy button, right? Like click the button, share the deal, time is saved. And all the back end time that nobody really sees that technology partners like Tackle are really taking off of your plate. It's all that compounded time that we're also saving you, not just the time to share the deal, but all the other ways that time shows up after.
Speaking of time, Erin, do you know what time it is?
Oh, is it time to go already?
It's time to wrap up season 1.
Oh my gosh, it's time to wrap up season 1. Mike was our last episode of season 1. What a great way to finish the season.
So if you're just catching up or you're listening halfway through, we talked with Boone at Starburst, and we talked to Rebecca at Sneak, Shane about Veritas and Rubrik, David at Eclipses. We talked about with Brittany from Veritas and VMware, TJ, Rapid7, Mike Musselman at Astronomer and now Lacework, Marissa from Hashi, we had Jacob from Commvault, Brennan from CyberArk, Connie from Big ID, and we wrapped it up here with Mike at Varonis. So
nicely done. Way to remember all those and in order.
I cheated. There's a little sheet next to my camera. So it's been a great season one. From a tackle perspective, we here Unlock Cloud Go-to-Market is our podcast. This first season was focused around kind of the maturity model and the evolution of the journeys of all of our guests. We're going to have another season coming out soon with a different theme. Erin and I just want to thank everybody for listening in. And with that, Erin, should we do it?
Yeah, I mean, thank you so much. We hope that our episodes and our customer stories of how they're unlocking cloud go-to-market inside their organizations has given each of you ideas and new ways or new perspectives on how you can unlock going to market with the clouds inside of your company.
I'm co-host Patrick Riley.
And I'm your co-host, Erin Feiger.
Season 1, signing off.
So pull up a chair, grab a notebook, and join us as we share the essential stages of the maturity model to start, optimize, and grow your company's revenue using the cloud. For more resources on executing your cloud go-to-market strategy, you can visit our website at tackle.io.